All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I am Dan, the part-time Avenger, and with me, as always, Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today we're here to talk about the power of love between some Goonies. That is to say, we are here to celebrate Valentine's Day with one of our favorite Oscar-winning actors and his 2025 hit, Love Hurts.
2025 hits is speaking generously, I would say, but that's okay. That's okay. We're not showing our hand just yet about the movie, but we're talking about Love Hurts, starring Oscar-winning Key Huy Quan. You may remember him from such movies such as Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. In my opinion, the most entertaining of all the Indiana Jones movies and my personal favorites. But also, he was an action and fight coordinator on the original X-Men. And of course, you probably remember him from a little TV show called Loki. And of course, that Oscar award-winning performance in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which did win an award from the I Can Do This All Day podcast. So nice to revisit this. But going into this, we're talking about, I think we've talked about our origin about Key Huy Quan. Is there anything you want to elaborate on that?
I mean, he's a wonderful part of our childhood. He is one of the more interesting Goonies, and Goonies never say die. And he coined one of the inside jokes that me and my wife have that I'll say to her all the time. No time for love, Dr. Jones.
Was that made more popular by Indiana Jones or Randall in Clerks? What do you think?
Kind of both. I think Randall used it in a way that brought it into my zeitgeist for interrupted possible sessions, right? Whenever my son gets up on a Saturday morning and starts, causing a ruckus, I just roll over and tell my wife, time for love, Dr. Jones.
And hilarity ensues.
I feel like is a solid way to handle a chaotic 5-year-old waking up. Or 4-year-old. He's almost 5. Oh my God.
Yeah. When we started this podcast, he was barely 1 year old, right?
Yeah. No, he was born in 21. So when we met, I had no kids, and you barely had 2.
Yeah,
and you still barely have 2.
Time goes by so slowly, but so fast at the same time. But origin for Key Huy Quan, dude, he was the best in Indiana Jones. The cutest kid. Hilarious, so much spark and charisma. And I watched a TV show with him called Head of the Class with Howard Hessman, and that was like a really cool show where he came in a little bit later on in one of the later seasons as Jasper, one of the token Asian kid in the class. But still enjoyed it. Still a lot of fun. And I didn't realize he was a fight coordinator on X-Men until much later on when they did like a little spot with him on the Loki series when they were kind of just going through the behind the scenes footage and everything and just kind of talking about the reintroduction of him and all that. So lots of good stuff. But this movie, I said earlier, maybe not necessarily a hit because the critics were rough with this one. 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. 34, 35 on Metacritic, and IMDb, the most reliable most reliable out of everything, is 5.3 out of 10. So not the best rated. Audience scores are mixed as well. I know it wasn't necessarily a box office bomb per se, but it definitely didn't make a whole lot of money. I'm not fact-checking that. I'm just going to go by my gut because I was there opening weekend when I saw this in theaters. So we came back, wanted to watch it for the podcast and just say it's on streaming. Check it out. And here we are. But did you have any expectations going into this episode?
I was just excited. I hadn't seen it yet. I was not there opening day. So I was just stoked that there was a solid Valentine's movie, right? Anything with love in the title, you're going to, pull up on whatever streaming service to chill and watch. To answer your question, did not make back its estimated budget in gross worldwide. But I mean, did you expect it to after you saw it? But the number of movies, in my opinion, that have not made back their budget in
the last few years,
even in the last few years, but have not made back their budget simply from theater are awesome. There are many of my favorite movies, Mallrats, so many things that didn't make their money back in the theater, but are still amazing watches. So I take those ratings with a grain of salt a little bit when I look at why I would watch this movie and the purpose and what you kind of get from it. So I'm very interested to see how the hypocrisy runs us through this.
It will, because it always does. The hypocrisy is going to be strong in this episode because I'm all over the place just from a personal perspective. It's going into this movie back when it was released in 2025, I was like, oh, dude, this is going to be awesome. Oscar winner. They're really just building and ramping up his momentum and kind of springboarding off of that. This is going to be freaking sweet. He was awesome in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and he's going to play some badass hitman type of guy, or retired, if you will. And this is going to be super cool. And we get a chance to see who we wanted to see with that like just quirky personality, but also at the same time, him whooping some ass. And I was all for it. So I had high expectations going in until I saw the runtime. And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to get out of this movie. And, my popcorn bucket's not going to be even halfway down. So I was a little concerned. So this is like 80 minutes with credits and everything. Anyone who is watching our shorts, reels, stuff like that, you're probably going to like this type of movie because it's so damn short. 80 minutes, nonstop kind of pace and everything. So it's like, ugh. I was a little bit concerned about that because when was the last time you saw a really, really good movie that was 80 minutes? I can't even think of
a couple hours ago.
Well,
you know what? Do you know what they did with this movie? They left you a Valentine's Day movie with Time for Love, Dr. Jones. I mean, they got it over with. They gave you some things that we'll talk about that are Easter eggs for anybody. Right, I think anybody can find a smile or a cameo that makes them happy from this movie, and then it's over, and you can move on to whatever the next thing you're doing after watching a movie about love. I think
good takeaway.
I think that he's just making up for that line.
All right.
That's what I think.
Okay. Well, Mark's all about the fornication. I'm all about the cinematography here in this movie because this movie looked pretty freaking sweet from the trailers to the posters and throughout the experience. But before I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, before we go into it in depth, Mark, I want you to give us your version of the plot.
This is great. The hitman, formerly known as Data, gives it all up for a woman, saves her life, but has no time for love because she needs to get lost. He then starts selling houses for Frodo's best friend, and then gets found out when she comes back looking for love in all the wrong places.
Looking for nub. It's the worst, man. It's the worst. I was very accurate plot, I should say. Probably more accurate than some of the...
I'm just dead on there.
I love all the references there. But yeah, so with that plot, I mean, you were pretty just fast and furious throughout it. And that's kind of what this movie was, right? Like that's very little story, a lot of action, and throw in like a few little what are supposed to be, and maybe they struck you important soliloquies or little banters back and forth. So yeah, I was kind of surprised watching this the second time that I was like, holy shit, they just jump right into this. Because I didn't remember that. And that was something that was kind of just mind-boggling to me, to where it's like, how am I not remembering this movie? I remember liking it, enjoying it, and having a good time. But is it going to be different this time around? Especially like within the first 10 minutes, I was like, shit, I don't remember that happening. And I don't believe I was drinking or anything at the time when we were in the movie theater. So I think it was just like a nice stone cold sober type of movie experience. The only thing I may have overdosed on is buttery popcorn, but where's the difference in that, But yeah, so going into the movie, how did you think, kind of like just being thrust right into it? What were you thinking about? Were there any things that were kind of catching your eye that you're liking? Or are you just kind of like, what the fuck is this?
I didn't go in with any expectations, just trying to see Short Round do his thing. And I will say, they had to write this for him because they just let him be him. His character was this ball of positive energy, just being a happy, nice positive person, which I feel like is his default setting, showing gratitude and positivity all around the place, which is like what you love about him in the media and out there during his Oscar run, him just showing gratitude and love. And it's the reason he's, America's sweetheart when it came to that moment and that time. So that was cool. And it was really cool to see how good he was at action scenes, which should not be a surprise because of the fight choreography background. But, we've watched some movies where it's like, this person is not very good and they did a lot of other things to make it okay. I feel like they just let the cameras roll and let him just do his thing. And he was convincing in that and not like hesitant. And it looked like he was just whooping some ass.
Yeah, so with the production company, if you're not familiar with 87 North, that was the Chad Stahelski, David Leitch co-op production company, those same ones that did John Wick. So David Leitch was a producer on this movie. Jonathan Eusebio was the director. Are you familiar with who he is?
I am not familiar with Jonathan Eusebio, if I Eusebia'd that right.
So with him, I believe he's Filipino, so much respect to Jonathan Eusebio, but he's a longtime fight choreographer. This was probably just almost like how Fall Guy was a love letter to stuntmen. This was kind of like a similar attempt at that, I think. I think they went into this knowing that we don't have a whole lot of story, but we have a lot of fun with these scenes. So why don't we come up with something? They almost did like a Tom Cruise where sorry, Tom Cruise, but I think 87 North does it better. They do a movie better just by basing it off of fight scenes and action choreography compared to how Tom Cruise and his producers will come up with, as impressive as that submarine scene was in Final Reckoning, it was just too damn long, boys.
The one thing they didn't do that Tom Cruise does amazing, run. No running in this movie. Not nearly enough, except for Beast Mode. Beast Mode did some running, and before he ran, he yelled Beast up. And then I'll say, the one thing that this didn't have, that all of those Tom Cruise movies did have, is running. They did not run in this movie. Only one person ran, and he yelled Beast Mode before he did it.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch was crazy to me. He must be friends with David Leitch or Jonathan Eusebio or something, and it's like, hey, you guys are shooting a movie? I mean, I'll be in it. That was so funny to me. And also, I didn't think he did a bad job. I thought he was entertaining as to who he was in this movie.
Marshawn was great in this movie. And he was the opening scene where they just, bring his character in. He was so Marshawn in it. I really thought he was good. And I thought he did a good job with the choreography and the fighting. We have seen other professional athletes, wrestlers, whatever, do much worse in a movie than Marshawn Lynch did in this. I think we can both agree at that.
He must be a WWE fan because I saw him do a choke slam. I think he did one of Brock Lesnar's F5s in there as well. But it was fun. It was fun being able to see that. I think he had a lot of fun with it just because when you have a production like 87 North, it is all stunt based and they're all professionals and they all love what they do. So I think that's part of the shine and the overall luster of this movie is the fact stuntmen doing what they do best. Probably not as great as the Fall Guy, but at the same time, dude, the fighting choreography was pretty solid. And I'm pretty picky when it comes specifically to martial arts choreography. I'm very picky with how they do that, but they had a lot of great callbacks to some of the other movies with just the action and style that they're doing for the martial arts. Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee was one of them, kind of with the subtle hand gestures of what they're doing. And then also when you take a look at some of the other Kung Fu movies, I think it's very inspired by Jackie Chan. And I think Key Huy Quan does his best Jackie Chan in this movie because he's a badass, but also at the same time, he shows his human aspects of it when he's fighting, which is kind of cool. Not too much like Jackie Chan does, but I think in his own way, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And you compare this to The Fall Guy, and I think you've got a completely different movie because of the cast and the methods by which they did a lot of the stunts. I don't think you can compare this with The Fall Guy. I think that The Fall Guy was written for a very quippy lead actor who had an awesome supporting actress in it too. Like, and the talent in that movie, not to take anything away from Love Hurts, but like the roster of talent was considerably different. You know, this was carried by an Oscar winner. That was carried by so many A-listers.
I mean, you did have Ariana DeBose, who, after winning an Academy Award for, gosh, it was like a Best Supporting Actress in West Side Story, wasn't it? She won that, and it just seems like she hasn't done shit since then. I mean, she was in Craven the Hunter, for God's sake. So that's where, if that speaks anything to you, that's where kind of like the problem was. But I guess when you do a little bit of Disney magic and you win an award, it's like, hey, that's your peak. I don't know. We'll see if she comes out with anything great. But I thought her performance was fine in this too. You know, like is it an Emily Blunt performance? No. Is it even like a Winston Duke performance? Probably not, but very similar in terms of likability. I liked her as a character, and she was, you know, kind of hard-nosed and a badass with like a little taser gun and everything, and then she came back and whooped some ass, and she took her punches too. So I'm fine with that. She wasn't like the damsel in distress. There was some toughness to her, which I appreciated. And, you know, like kind of going back and forth between this and The Fall Guy, I say that just because it's very stunt heavy, and obviously it's the same production team. So that's where I enjoy some of the complexity and appreciate some of the minor, what some people would consider minor nuances and trivial things about this. The fight choreography, the hand placement, the ornamentals as they're doing the fighting, and even just like the quick camera work was done effectively. There's quick camera work that is done just so it makes the main character look good, because they can't do it as well as stunt people. And this was pretty solid, man, all across the board. Action scenes. Did you have a favorite action scene in this? Because this is all the movie was action scenes.
It was. All the movie was action scenes. And you know, you talked about the casting for the main love interest in the movie, and honestly, that was one of the things that I did not work for me. I think that they could have done better with Ariana DeBose, but I mean, you know, me, I would have loved to see like Aquafina in it or something, but then that would have just been, you know, Shang-Chi with Short Round. So I want that, but I also know that I can't have that, but I still want it because I feel like then it would have been so much funnier. But when you ask me about fight scenes, I've never been more excited than a fight scene backed by Barry White. I was like, this is amazing. Dan's going to find a way to hate it, but my God, I loved it.
In the theater, I was into it. I was like, all right. I am into this popular music being woven into a movie because it's just a good time. This movie overall was meant to be a good time. And you know what? If it strikes a chord with you, great. If not, enjoy the action and the fight scenes. You know, that's fine. But I would have to say probably, so that one was your favorite. I was still pretty impressed with the fight scene when he goes back to his house and he's trying to protect his regional Realtor of the Year award. I thought that was kind of cool because he seems like that much of a dork to be like, oh, I'm really proud of this. I got to make sure I protect this. And it was clever, like Jackie Chan's type stunts that were being used to like do everything. Like I love the different shots that are being used. As they're fighting, he puts the award in the microwave and it starts to fucking spark and everything. And then he puts it in the refrigerator so that way it won't freaking set on fire. And then Marshawn Lynch just throws him in the fridge. So clever camera work, nonstop action, nonstop octane fun. So I'm all about it. And I love that scene in particular just because of that camera work. And it also showed him as a badass, but also very vulnerable compared to these two big, oversized dudes that are taking him on. So it's realistic as well.
And it was fun. Like that scene had some great back and forth. I think all of the action scenes. The one in his office where he was fighting, was it the Vulture? Was the guy's name?
That was sweet.
And he had all of the sweet, intricate weapons that then they brought back in the later scene too. Like the shoe knives and shit was super dope. I was super into it. So that was the fight scenes for me. The action scenes were great, but they weren't too much. Like some action movies get a little too gory or a little too serious with the action scenes, and I don't think are a great like date night movie. Like not something that I would say, hey, it's Valentine's Day, you want to watch John Wick? And you're not going to get away with that in a way. But I really do think that this fits the theme of the week we're in. And like, I would not have a problem sitting down and watching this with my wife, and at the end of it, not feeling, pretty good about it, and not being in a positive, happy rom-com adjacent mood. Like, is this a romantic comedy? Borderline. But does it give the same vibes? Yes. And I think it gives just enough cameo to where, like, people who enjoy movies but are not like as deep into all of the action accoutrement and trivia that you just gave us. They couldn't tell you any of that, but they know who Drew Scott is, and they'd be tickled to see him. And half of them had seen Marshawn Lynch in a Skittles commercial, and they know who Short Round is because they love Reels and him hugging Harrison Ford. So I think that there's enough in this movie that brings it past just a fight movie, and it really does what I need it to do as a movie. But it also scratches your fight itch.
So you brought up Drew Scott. I thought that was so damn hilarious. I was thinking, like, man, that guy looks really fucking familiar. And then I'm thinking, like, oh shit, he's like advertised all over the place at like betting trade shows because they partner up with everything. So it was super fun, but also this like rivalry and him being a black belt. I was thinking, oh my God, are they going to make him into a badass? He does some cool stuff. I was like, ooh, this is doing absolutely jack shit. And then he just, sorry, spoiler alert, everyone, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, shot right through the head. And he was all for it. Good for him for having a sense of humor about it.
Well, I didn't recognize him from the signs at all. Like, I was not there with it. But then when they panned to him, I'm like, wait a fucking minute. And then he runs into the thing, and I'm a black belt. And somehow he's holding his own for a second. And then he jumps behind the couch, and I'm like, it's a fucking Property Brother. What the hell? And to your point, like, he starts telling him what to do. And I'm like, this is going to go either really good or terrible. And it went perfect. Just amazing.
I mean, a clean headshot right there.
Just straight between the eyes, which
I didn't believe that they did that. Like, I had a good time in the movie theater when I first saw that, and then rewatching it for the podcast, I was like, holy shit, I forgot about that. That was fucking hilarious.
I think a lot of husbands who have been forced to watch Property Brothers will appreciate that scene in a big bad way.
Did you have any other favorite little tidbits or quips in the movie similar to that? That's my favorite one, is him getting shot in the head, but like not that instance, that's just the culmination of it all, but just their banter behind the couch, like, hey, congratulations on Regional Realtor of the Year award. And it's like, they're in this very serious situation. They're getting shot at, and they're just like, realtors are assholes. They just congratulate each other on their business. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say the first thing that got me really excited in this movie, and it was good but Sean Astin popping up. I did not look at the cast list again. I went in completely oblivious. I was just like, another Goonie, and I was waiting for another one, and there wasn't another one. I wish they could have got the girl from the Goonies to come in as the villain at the end.
That'd be funny.
Been super for just like a 5-second, there. I'm glad that Corey wasn't in it, and
dude, he was too busy ripping guitar solos to come shoot this.
Wearing Michael Jackson's old clothes. I would have loved to see Brolin just pop in too, because Lord knows what he can do in a movie after watching Wake Up You're Dead. I mean,
my God, Brolin would have been the perfect character instead of Drew Scott. Brolin as the realtor.
No, Drew Scott was so good though. Like,
he was great.
It's what you need for your significant other that's not into fight but into HGTV. To get just a little sprinkle. It was so good for the banter of a date night. Like, it highly appreciated all of the pieces there. Like, I know my wife's going to like this movie when I make her watch it.
That's awesome. I would have loved to see Brolin just because he has that gravity and, he could really command a scene. But I think the best scene out of the movie was between Sean Astin and Daniel Wu. I did not see that death coming. Did you?
Yeah, right away.
Method, I guess. I saw him. He's probably going to die. I did not expect.
Well, you didn't think he was going to stab him in the eye.
Who the hell gets killed by being stabbed in the eye with a boba straw.
Yeah, no, that was a hilarious. So this movie had a whole bunch of hilarious weapons, along with the serious ones, like the feathers was funny. The boba straw was funny. The scene where they used giant silverware off the wall in a fight, I was like, I wanted to do that forever. Let's fucking go. Like, so there was a lot of positive, and like, now I have a reason that it would be okay to put giant silverware up in my house just to reference that fight scene.
In case you ever need to defend yourself, you need to pull a Kevin Home Alone and get out the big fork because they're done. It's funny. But yeah, that little last scene with Sean Astin was interesting because it was almost, I think they were trying to pull a little bit of True Romance, kind of Dennis Hopper type of performance out of him right there. And even though it was kind of silly, I enjoyed it. I liked his genuine tone as he was delivering that. Like he knew he was in for it. He was going to die. So I kind of like that courage of him, and didn't expect the boba straw through the eye, but at the same time, like he took it like a man. And you know what? He probably just rubbed salt into that wound of Marvin's brother, and it was just like, ooh, you said the wrong shit, but you know what? It was probably the right thing to say because you're not getting out of this any other way. So you might as well give him the big middle finger before he offs you.
I mean, he is the most courageous hobbit.
Not Frodo? Frodo, no?
Yeah, Frodo's a bitch. You want to keep the ring.
See, I didn't know about that. So you just spoiled it for me. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, right. Like you haven't watched those movies. Dude, those movies have been out for like 25
years. Watch those movies.
Dude, they're back in theaters. I think you should.
Nah.
War of the Rings is great.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure. And you know what? I'm sure I'll watch them eventually one day and I'll be like, oh, I can see why people like this. And I think that's going to be the extent of it. I don't know if I'll be like, oh, that's fantastic. But speaking of fantastic movies, is this a fantastic one? I don't know. We'll get there. But is there anything else that may have Martha'd you about this movie?
You know, I really looked out for it. And normally in a movie like this, there's something. I thought Marshawn was gonna Martha me, you know, then I thought, oh man, there's Drew Scott. This is gonna be bad. But no, it was just solid. Marshawn was great in this for who he is, right? For who they put in front of the camera. He was great. And the Drew Scott cameo went just long enough. Like, it was a solid movie for me. I have no real gripes. And then they hit me with the Barry White fight scene at the end. You just had me smiling the whole time. What about you? Something had to piss you off. Because whenever I like something, you have to shit on it. So shit away, sir.
I don't know if there was anything that was like super egregious Martha level. I think if I were to really nitpick, I don't know if I could find one because I was having a pretty good time through most of it. And even the parts where I was just like, yep, obviously we got to slow down here. I would say the only thing that kind of Martha'd me is the love interest aspect of his receptionist, if you will. And the guy's name was Raven, not Vulture.
Sorry, not Vulture.
Internet, don't come after us. I was letting him roll with it.
Wrong bird of prey.
Yeah. But that was kind of like, what the fuck is this about? Come on. Like, yeah, you hate your job, but you're going to fall in love with this guy that was just there to kill your boss? That tracks in real life. Maybe if this was like, in Florida, and maybe it was. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, it was a little bit interesting.
They told you it was in Milwaukee.
I didn't pay attention. I just the Georgia license plate.
That might be my gripe. Is there were no real Wisconsin references, and all of the people in this movie were far too skinny to live in Wisconsin.
That's not true. Midwestern homegrown people aren't known for their obesity. What are you talking about? Stop it.
They eat a lot of cheese and beer, my friend.
I don't know about that. I've a lot of connections out there in that area. Not so much. Now, you go further south, for sure. Yeah, that's the case. I didn't know where that was based. It really was based out of Milwaukee.
He was a Milwaukee real estate agent.
I saw a Georgia license plate. Was that? Am I just making stuff up? Was there like a Georgia license plate on something?
There very well could have been. I'm not saying that they had the best continuity in the film. They had great fight sequences, but maybe the continuity wasn't right.
Apparently, I didn't have the best attention span of it either. But hypocrisy is strong. There
Yeah,
were
no.
some scenes I liked, but I would say, like, I just want to get your opinion on that. Did you have any feeling about that either? Like with Raven and gosh, what's her
You
name? I
know,
can't remember the name.
it was a way for him to not kill a person that he knew from the, the old days. I
But
don't mind it.
she's not from the old days. She's
Yeah,
someone
but
he just met.
she read the poetry. She like, you know how hitmen have their weird thing that they do. Some of them say a line because it's some cold blooded shit to say to a motherfucker before popping a cap in his ass. And some of them write poetry, and at least the poetry got him somewhere. It got him to a more fulfilling place than murder.
I don't know if it did it really get him to a different place because I feel like it
I
got
mean,
her to a different place. I think it
either
inspired
way,
her to quit her
if she
job.
was there, he was there, and there was time for love, Dr. Jones.
People in high stress situations, that stuff never really works out in the end. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what if there ever is a sequel. There's not
I
going to
mean,
be.
ask
But
Sandra Bullock about that for sure.
exactly, exactly. Then you go off and make a movie with Jason Patrick on a cruise boat. Like fuck, it's really going to go
Boats, boats,
downhill for
boats.
her. But yeah. So that was pretty much it. That was my Martha moment. And I wouldn't even say it's like the worst Martha moment. But I was like, come on, what the fuck you talking about? Really? You're gonna fall in love with the hitman who is like kind of bleeding right there on the floor and you just saw him fuck up your boss's office, and it's like, really? Everything's cool? Because you read his poetry? You understand him? You get him now? I don't know, man. Kind of sketchy. Kind of sketchy. But does that mean that this movie is sketchy? Mark, I got a question for you. When it comes to 2025's Love Hurts, can you do this all day?
I absolutely can. I thought this was a great, quick, like just positive, happy, can watch it with the wife movie. Recommend for all those looking for a Valentine's Day watch that is not mushy gushy and boring and doesn't involve Julia Roberts putting on running shoes. It is a solid watch, and it's just fun, and it doesn't go on too long, and it's not poorly cut, and it has great music. Like all of that works for me. And it's positive. Like all the only real bad guy that dies at the end is the brother and Samwise. Like even Marshawn survives somehow.
I mean, Key
They make a joke of it.
snaps. He snaps a lot of necks in that movie. So I don't
He
know.
does. It's okay. It's okay. Either way, all of your favorite people survive except Drew Scott. He was dead, as he should be. So I don't know. Was that Drew Scott or was that the other Scott?
Oh, it was Drew Scott.
Okay, you never know. They are twins. But either way, we're not talking about Schwarzenegger and DeVito here. We're talking about Love Hurts. And when it comes to Love Hurts, Danny, can you do this all day?
This one was a tough one because I had recommended this movie for us to review for the podcast. And it's been a long time since I've seen it. It's been like almost a year. I don't know, man. The thing that if I stay true to my I can do this all day recommendations, it is something to where like the music's great. Like I would recommend this to anyone, but I can't say that I'd recommend this to everyone. So I think that's the only thing that's holding me back from this. I'm going to say I cannot do this all day. I had a lot of fun in the movie. I still had fun watching the second time around. However, I think for any of those cinephiles that are out there, if you were trying to watch a good movie, I wouldn't say this is a in air quotes, good movie. It's just a movie that is very entertaining and you will have a good time with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy. I'm wearing a t-shirt of a very highly entertaining movie that it's not a good movie, but it's an awesome movie. Like that I think we all have that understanding of like, oh, that movie's awesome, but it kind of sucks and it's not really like a cinematic masterpiece. It's not Oppenheimer or anything like that. So I think that's kind of where this lands on my radar. So I can't say that I can do it all day and I can't recommend it to everyone. However, I will recommend it to all of the action junkies and all of the people that appreciate stunt work. And then, go support that. That's really fantastic. We watched this on Prime Video. It was out on Peacock for the longest time. And then, of course, we saw it in theaters, or I saw it in theaters. But yeah, unfortunately, as much as I wanted to love this movie, a few things were holding it back. The runtime, the lack of story, lack of motivation for a lot of the characters. So when you look at it from a motion picture perspective, if you're going to go all, Martin Scorsese on it and just fucking rip it to shreds, like, sure, yeah, it's a bad movie. No talent hacks and it's just stunt work. But if you're a stunt junkie and action junkie like I am, you'll enjoy it. You'll have a good time. Sorry, can't do it all day, but for all the people that are like me, yeah, check it out. It's a good watch.
I like that you recommend it, but can't do it all day. It is what it is.
Yeah. Hypocrisy is strong with this one, Mark.
It's
Can't help it.
it's strong with every podcast.
Honesty keeps it just so much fun and very confusing for all of our listeners because, like, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
What
But
are these
uh,
idiots
hey,
bantering?
that wraps it up for another episode of the I Can Do This All Day podcast. I am
Finally!
part-time Avenger. That is Mark the Resident Jedi.
Don't forget, y'all like, subscribe. We'll be here all day cranking out these podcasts every week for you. So enjoy it, love it, watch it. Send us your comments. Let us know how wrong Dan is and how right I am. And let us know if there's anything else that we should review. What's your go-to Valentine's Day movie that's quick and still leaves time for love? We want to know so I can add it to the playlist.
And for anyone who's thinking about being smart and funny about it, please do not send us your favorite homemade movies with your significant others as recommendations for us to review. That would just not be cool. But yeah, you know what? It's Valentine's Day week. Go get on that significant other. Love on them hard. And hey, sometimes love hurts, but we will catch you next time, everyone.
Dan can do anything for love, but he won't do this movie.